Hello again, everybody. Welcome back in this video, I'm going to be showcasing Malrik, this mage from the Infernal and Esoteria faction, dual designation, magic damage dealer. And he's known as the Rogue of the Runes. Kind of has that wizard type look, so not too shabby there. But essentially what you're going to define here based on his kit is whether you're going to utilize him as a single target attack unit or a multi-target attack unit, somebody that is doing AoE damage. He will buff an ally, so you're going to get to decide which unit that is going to be. Let's go over his talent really quick because this really is what defines what this hero can do. The hero will gain 20% damage increase right as you deploy him. He will then grant a wizard's rune to the next hero deployed in the attack range, and then this can only be triggered once per deployment. Okay, now what does this wizard rune do? The wizard's rune will increase the attack, defense, and HP of the bearer by 15%, and this effect can stack with other effects. So if you give him the extra attack with the rune, you can still give him the inspiration and anything else that comes. So damage increase, any other buff that you might get with any other support unit, you can still apply it on top of this. Now here's the kicker though. When you define as to who's going to get the rune, if you bring in a platform unit, you're going to change his form. So he comes automatically, he comes in his fire form, which is the one that deals single target attacks. If you then place a platform unit right next to him, after you deploy him, he will then switch to his frost form. Now, the fire form here, the initial form specializes in single target magic damage. And of course, then the frost form will reduce damage by 25% and then converts all attacks to AoE damage. So that's essentially what that is doing there. But do remember though, that this wizard's runes, whether you decide to do a platform or a ground unit, you're still going to give him all these attributes. All right, let's go here over the ultimate, the elemental ascension. When this ultimate is activated, increases the hero attack by 30%, here fully skilled, for 20 seconds. During this time, transforms the hero basic attack into a fireball or a blizzard. This is all depending on which form you actually then decide to use them as. The fireball here deals 100% damage to one enemy in range 3 times and inflicts burning. The blizzard deals 140% AoE damage one time up to 5 enemies in range and inflicts winter's bite. All right, so his basic attack deals 120% damage one time to one enemy in range, and you can see he has a very large range. His elemental covenant, one of the passives, while in the same form, every 5 basic attacks either will trigger the fire blast or the ice storm. Now the fire blast is a little bit different. The fire blast will deal 400% damage one time to one enemy in range and inflicts burning. The ice storm, on the other hand, deals 40% AoE damage one time per second in that to the target and any 5 surrounding enemies for 4 seconds. This here has a 50% chance of applying winter's bite, whereas the one in the ultimate has the full 100. So that's the only difference between those two. All right, if for some reason he's not using any of his basic attack, he does not need the 5 basic attacks to then trigger these 2. He'll automatically do that. And this is all, of course, if you have him fully skilled. The rune mastery. When he casts the ultimate, he restores 10% rage to heroes granted with the wizard's rune. So anybody that has this will be able to get to their ultimates a little bit quicker. And permanently increases the hero's attack by 5%. This attack increase can be gained up to 5 times for each battle. If no one is granted with the runes, restores an extra 10% rage to this hero instead. You're most likely going to give the rune to somebody after you bring him in. Going over his awakenings here, the A1, the elemental covenant is enhanced. The fire blast will deal 60% extra damage and inflict magic damage burnability. This is going to be big. The ice storm, on the other hand, inflicts freeze on enemies and reduces the damage interval by 0.3 seconds. and it increases the chance to inflict the winter's bite to 70%. So it goes from 50 to 70. All right, so that's that one. The Awaken 2 will give him 300 attack on his base attack. It increases the Awaken 3 increases the speed boost gain from the attack speed by 20%. Awaken 4 gives him extra penetration, and his 5th awakening, the hero gains an extra 10% damage increase when either the hero or a hero granted with Wizard's Rune dies. So either he gets to kick the bucket first, or anybody that he got paired with, applies Winter's Incantation on them. This is how it works. The Winter's Incantation prevents death one time when the carrier takes a fatal damage hit and dispels all debuffs that is on them and restores 50% HP of their max HP of whoever's the bearer of the incarnation. So that's how that one works. Now here I'm gonna show you a clip exactly as to how that works. So in this clip, what I did is I just brought in somebody like Lyra and I put him right beside. So I deployed her right after I had deployed Malrik here. So what you're going to see is that they're essentially both going to take fatal damage. So there's no healer there. And so there. So he dies, but at the same time, she gets the incarnation. So she's going to be able to survive that burn proc. So there he goes. She survives. She gains 50% HP. And now she has one more round to go. And then the burning also was this spell. So that's exactly how that's working. Now it looks like the cast that the hero that has the rune is the one that gets the incarnation. So he will sacrifice himself to make sure that the ally that you paired him with survives any type of damage hit. So here I'm going to do this again with a ground unit just so you can see it. And so I'm going to let him. So you saw that he got the rune there. So again, I'm going to let them take fatal damage. So here we go. Now there's the incarnation. You see the animation there on Lord Phineas. It's kind of this blue hue around them. And now he's going to take a fatal damage hit. He has his HP restored. The burning is then cleansed off. So that's how that is working. And then, of course, you do need to get Malrik all the way up to a 5 for that effect to apply. Looking at his attributes just really quick, his attack is fairly decent, 4,680 base, and then he gains at 300 with his second awakening. So it's pretty standard. Now, he is, 10,000 HP is decent, 768 defense. He can be a little bit soft. His cost is 19. His redeployment time is 60, in case you're thinking about bringing him back in for any reason at all. Now, here, for the test that I am doing here, I decided on Soulbound Arcana, because this is one of the gear sets that showed me that he was getting the best damage out of it, and the artifact here is the Tear of Twilight. For those of you that are subscribers to the channel, you know that I like to do a fairly simple damage test where I just put the hero by themselves, covered with Carnelian, so they make it through the whole run in Nightmare 4 of Drakeschasm. And so I let them go by themselves, right? And then I just get a sense of how they're doing with the different sets that I give them to try out. So in terms of whether he's on fire or frost mode, when it comes to Guild Boss, where he is going to excel, yes, you want to make sure that he is in his fire mode, because in his frost mode, he doesn't do as much damage. It's meant to do AoE damage, take care of multiple units. So that was apparent right away. Now you can see here that at least from the initial test with the Infernal Roar and the Soulbound Arcana set, the Soulbound Arcana set was coming ahead. I will say that the Cataclysm with the Infernals factions exclusive ring came close to Soulbound Arcana. So if you have a very good Cataclysm set with that exclusive piece, you can actually probably consider using it for this. But when I did something like the Esoteria ring, where I was just getting additional rage, that kind of lost a little bit of damage. So that's why I decided for anything, I'm just going to use Soulbound Arcana to further illustrate. The other thing here that I did is that I started then awakening the hero. So I went from 0 to 5. And as you can see that at each step, that we do give him an awakening, he does gain a significant amount of damage. So by the end, we're looking at about a 20% increase. This is just him by himself. We start teaming him up with other heroes. We start getting, vulnerabilities added, anything like that. He is definitely going to take advantage of it. So his awakenings give him that boost based on the description that we went over with. The other thing that I did here, and let me move myself off screen because I want to make sure that this is clear here. So here with what I decided to do is take Lord Phineas at A5, and then I let him go alone. And so this is the amount of damage that he did by himself, 76,000. So then what I did is that I then brought in Malrik. And in this case, then what I did is that I decided to pair him up so he would then give the rune to Lord Phineas. And then what you can see happen is that after he was given the rune, he gained that extra attack. He was then able to go with Malrik through the run. That Lord Phineas's damage increased significantly when he went by himself. So definitely what this hero is meant to do is for that one pair up that that we designate to, that he will definitely increase the amount of damage that that hero can do. So for this illustration here, we are here in GR1. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing in Komet. So what I'm going to try to do here with Komet is I'm going to let him go alone. And so we're going to try to see as to how long it takes Komet to try to get rid of the waves, right? So here we go. We're going through the run. We're boosting him here with Dio-chan, and we're going to then protect, make sure he doesn't die by teaming him up with Eloin, and at the same time, we can make sure that his rage comes back a little bit quicker. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because he is able to clear these first couple of waves very well. And I'm gonna go here towards the end. So this is when things start getting crowded. So we're gonna let things build up. So things are getting built up at the wall. Now with just Dio-chan providing him that boost, he's going to have a little bit of a hard time, especially with not having an anti-heal effect here, to try to bring these guys down, okay? So we're not going to be able to clear this as it stands. And just to speed things up a little bit, you're going to see the wall come down. And then they get through, right? All right. So that was the downside to that. Now, let me then set things up. Okay, so now in this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Malrik. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have him point it up. I don't want him doing too much damage to anything that builds up on the wall. So here I'm going to bring in Komet. He's going to get the rune. Now, because we did do this, in this instance here, Malrik will switch to his Frost form. So he's dealing AoE damage, okay? So if we were to actually be using him like we're supposed to be using him, and we point him towards the wall to make sure that he does damage to those units, he then can complement not only by buffing Komet, but he can do damage by himself as well. But for this instance here, I just wanted to see how much that rune helped Komet. Just that influence of having Malrik with him in terms of trying to clear the wave. So I did a couple runs here, and so he is just like he did previously. He was able to clear things at the beginning. And so now I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. Now I'm going to let things build up. Now see, you can see here, Malrik is already doing some damage to these units. The boss is going to start healing them. So definitely going to start building up here on the wall. So here's where we're having a little bit of problem for Komet to kind of get things cleared up. But now this time he is definitely going to be able to clear things out by himself. He got rid of most of the units, especially the ones that came from this side. So definitely that extra attack did help. And there we go. We got him down to the boss. And now he should be able to bring him down. And he did. All right. So that's what his task is. So anytime that you designate a rune to a hero, that's exactly what he is going to do. He's going to buff him up. They're going to do more damage. He's going to be able to get any task that you're setting out to accomplish and get it done. Here, this is going to be the classic example to use Malrik, okay? So here, we're going to set up a platform unit or ground unit first. So we're using Lower Phineas here. So this is going to be our target. This is going to be our experiment, our case study is Lower Phineas. So what I'm doing here is I'm setting up a drakeschasm run with Lower Phineas and also kind of complement a cast around him, just so we're kind of getting an idea of how much damage we're doing, right, with each one of these heroes. Now, the reason that I say that this is where we're going to be utilizing Malrik in is because he is definitely going to be boosting single target damage. Not only that, he does phenomenal single damage target as well. So wherever we need that type of boost is where we're going to want to bring him. So for example, it's going to be here for you early, mid, late gamers. It's going to be drakeschasm, Nightmare 1 through 4. For end gamers, you start looking at Semra, right? So Apocalypse 2. And further on, Abyss 1. That's exactly where people are going to try to fit him in some way. So they're probably going to try to do something like Soul Cadence with Lord Phineas and him included, or Sword Cadence maybe with Lyra and him. But primarily, that target unit that you're going to want to make sure gets that rune is going to have to be a platform unit. So you keep him in his fire mode. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm just going to let the run go. And I'm going to just fast forward a little bit, because what I'm trying to get, at least out of all these runs, is just get a base. How much damage is my A5 Lord Phineas doing without Malrik? So there we go. And let me get to the end, just so you can kind of see the damage card. Okay, so there's the end of the run. We got some blood out of this. And again, we're just setting the base. And this is kind of the damage that I'm getting with my A5 Lord Phineas under this condition. So 178 to 180 is what I was getting. So now I have kind of a very good baseline to kind of get an idea of how much more I can get with Malrik added to the team. Okay, so here's now the example with Malrik. So what I'm going to do is he's going to be the first one up. So I'm going to set him up there. And now I'll plop Lord Phineas down. So now he gets the rune. And now Malrik stays in his fire mode. So he's going to be doing single target damage. Now I'm going to set everything else up. I'm going to invig everybody that needs to be invig. So here we go. We're going to set up Lyra again. There was some runs where I did use Sun Wukong, but then I just brought him back out just to not complicate things too much. So yeah, I did various different runs, but this one is it's the cleaner. You can see things exactly like I wanted you to see them, just so you can kind of get an idea of how much Malrik is influencing the battle here. So about 58,000 blood was on the last run. So, and this one, the average came down, to about the same, what we're going to be seeing here. So again, I'm going to fast forward things here. So whenever Malrik's ultimate was available, I just used it, right? We just want to get that damage out of him, if at all possible. And so we're going to fast forward a little bit here, and then you can kind of see both of them going off at the same time. So we're trying to get Lord Phineas to use his ults properly, just as I did the previous runs. Make sure that I didn't disrupt it too much with Sul'Kaden's ult. That was the goal of this too as well. So there we go. Just to kind of give you an idea how the run went. And so I'm going to fast forward here to the end, and we're going to get to 3, 2, 1. Okay, end of the run. And now you can kind of see now we're getting into the 80,000 range when it comes to the blood. So significant bump there. Now, here we go. So in terms of damage, yeah, I'm getting about the same with Sul'Kaden's and Lyra. But here is the significant portion, the one that really illustrates the power of Malrik here. Lord Phineas increased to 270,000. Not only that, from an A0 Malrik, we got a contribution of about 104,000. So it's behind my head here. So you can kind of see that he also did contribute to the damage. Now, if you're lucky enough to get more awakenings on him, you're definitely going to boost this damage up even more. So think about that. Think about just getting him through A2, going into A5. If you're able to then bring in him with a a ground unit, you can designate anybody and then give him that rune. You're not only going to be able to boost the damage that particular ground unit does, but he is also going to provide you a nice little bit of damage as well. So from the preliminary clips that I collected and the tests that I have done, definitely he's going to be worth getting and trying to add to your account. He's going to have utility, whether it is in his fire form or his frost form. You're going to find a place for him. If you want to use him in AMR to try to, maybe burst the damage like a Dahlia or an Anora or somebody else that does AoE damage to clear out the lackeys, you can definitely bring him there. He probably does have a little bit of utility in faction trials as well. Again, as you awaken him, you're going to get more damage. You're going to get CC. You're going to get hard control. Not only that, the bigger thing here is that this is a mage that not only buffs the ally that you pair him up with, but he does damage as well. And that's what this hero is meant to do. So this is a little bit of a power creep, I would say, in terms of the pair up, because you are definitely going to buff the hero that you pair him up with, and you're going to be able to get a significant amount of damage out of him. So the Esoterias and the Infernal faction, again, they're getting a big burst from him being added to the factions. That'll do it for this demonstration. Thank you all very much for tuning in and watching. I will see you all on the next Watch Your Realms video.